Hey everyone, and welcome! Today we're going to pull back the curtain on the ancient art of Liu Yao, which you might also know as Six Lines Divination. We're going to break it all down into simple, easy-to-digest parts so you can really get a feel for how it all works. Let's dive in. So, have you ever looked at a hexagram and just your eyes glaze over? Yeah, it can totally look like some kind of secret code, just a jumble of lines. But stick with me, because I promise over the next few minutes, we're going to turn all that confusion into some serious clarity. All right, so here's the game plan. We're starting right at the bottom with the actual structure of the hexagram. Then we'll add on the two basic forces, yin and yang. After that, we'll meet the cast of characters with the six relationships, see how they interact with the five elements, and finally, I'll give you a simple guide on how to start putting it all together. First things first, everything in Liu Yao, and I mean everything, is built on a structure of six positions, or Yao. And the number one rule, the thing you absolutely have to burn into your brain, is that we always read from the bottom up. And honestly, this is the best way to think about it. Imagine you're building a body. You start at the feet and work your way up to the head, right? It's the same thing here. That bottom line is the ground floor, the feet, where the whole story kicks off. And the top line is the head, the final conclusion. Every line in between is just a step along that journey. So let's take a walk up this ladder, shall we? Line 1, the initial Yao, that's the very beginning of things. Line 2 is where things start bubbling up and taking shape. Line 3, that's often a critical turning point. Then line 4 marks a big shift, moving into a new phase. Line 5 is the big one. It's the core of the issue, the seat of power. And finally, the top Yao shows us how it all wraps up, the end of the story. Now, these 6 lines, they're not just a single stack. They're actually split into 2 little groups. The bottom 3 lines make up the lower trigram. Think of this as your inner world, your foundation, what's going on with you right now. The top 3 are the upper trigram, and that's all about the external world and what's coming in the future. Really, it's the story of how what's happening inside you interacts with the world outside. Okay, so we've got the 6-story building, right? We know the layout, but what are the bricks made of? Well, every single floor, every line is built from one of 2 things, the fundamental forces of yin and yang. These are the absolute building blocks of everything. And you know what? It's so simple, it's brilliant. You've got the yang yao, that's the solid, unbroken line. Think of it as go energy, active, assertive. Then you have the yin yao, the broken line. This is more receptive, passive, wait-and-see energy. Every single line in that hexagram is going to be one of these 2. That's it. All right, you with me? Because this next part, this is where it gets really interesting. We take that 6-line structure we just learned, and we add a whole new layer of meaning called the 6 relationships. This is where we basically turn these abstract lines into a cast of characters in a play. Just think about these roles for a second. You've got the parents line. What do parents do? They support and protect you, right? Then there's the siblings line, your friends, your peers, even your competitors. The officials line is all about pressure and authority. The wealth line is what you have control over, your resources. And the descendants line, that's your output, your creativity, your ideas. Every line gets assigned one of these roles. Now, in this whole cast, there are 2 main characters, the absolute stars of the show. You have the she line, which is always you, the person asking the question. Then you have the yin line, which represents the other person, or the thing you're asking about. The whole dynamic, the whole story between these 2 lines, that's pretty much the whole point of the reading. Okay, so we've got our stage, the 6 lines, we've got our actors, the 6 relationships, but what do they do? How do they talk to each other? Well, that's where the 5 elements come in. Think of wood, fire, earth, metal, and water as the rules of the game, dictating all the action in our story. First up is what we call the generation cycle. Think of this one as the helping cycle. It's all about support and making things stronger. It makes perfect sense, right? Wood feeds a fire. The fire leaves behind ash, which becomes earth. Earth is where we find metal. Metal, when it's cool, can condense water. And of course, water nourishes wood. See, it's a complete positive loop. And on the flip side, you have the overcome cycle. This is all about control and keeping things in check. Wood's roots break apart the earth. Earth can dam and control water. Water, obviously, puts out fire. Fire melts metal. And a metal axe chops down wood. Now, overcome can sound kind of negative, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's really about balance within the whole system. Whew, okay.
Let's take a breath. We've covered the structure, the building blocks, the characters, and the rules of the game. So the big question is, how do we actually put all these pieces together and, read the thing?
But wait, before we jump into the steps, there's one more crucial piece of the puzzle: active lines. These are any lines that are in the middle of changing from yin to yang, or vice versa. These guys are the real engine of the hexagram. They're like a flashing neon sign saying, look here, this is what's happening, this is where the story's going. You always pay close attention to these. So with that in mind, here's a super simplified 4-step way to get started. Step 1, figure out your main character. This is called the significator. If you're asking about a job, you look at the official's line. Step 2, check its strength. Is it getting help from the other elements, or is it being held back? Step 3, look for those active lines. They're telling you the most important part of the story. And finally, step 4, put it all together and synthesize what you're seeing to get your answer. And there you have it. We've gone from what looked like a random jumble of lines to a real story with a clear structure, a cast of characters, and a plot. We've built the foundation. It's all yours now. So the only real question left is, where do you want to go from here? What do you want to understand next?